Arizona News Radio cleanup in Marana after 27 cars of a Union Pacific train went off the tracks during a heavy thunderstorm yesterday.
We're not quite ready to confirm that it was the water that was the cause of the derailment, but that is what we're looking at right now as a possibility.
Heavy line of thunderstorms down the middle of the state.
We're seeing scattered showers and thunderstorms almost everywhere. Nothing has been particularly intense or severe.
Nearly a dozen people took part in the rescue of a woman who was trapped in her car after it went into a canal Monday.
By the time we'd gotten there, it had been quite a while. We'd been responding from a call on the other side of the city, so we didn't have a lot of hope at the time, but it was still our job to go down and try to find out.
State troopers stopped an 81-year-old man in Chandler, got on a freeway in a golf cart.
The guy, he was an elderly male, 83 years old, but he was not impaired.
George Cantor, Arizona News.
This 1100 KFNX traffic report is brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council. Taking a look out to Chandler, we have an accident at Loop 202 eastbound at Dobson Road. And in Phoenix, be on the lookout for a collision at the I-17 southbound at Bethany Home Road. Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do in an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center, as we head into the evening under partly cloudy skies, isolated thunderstorms, the overnight low 78. Thursday, partly cloudy with scattered thunderstorms, high near 94. Partly cloudy Thursday night, isolated thunderstorms, and the overnight low 79. I'm Scott Allen Fortney from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently, in downtown Phoenix, it's 96 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it breaks. Here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Did you know Arizona is the epicenter of drug trafficking in the United States? And our state has the most drug-related arrests on America's broken border? Listen as Representative David Schweikert talks about the need to take action.
The bad guys are being creative. They're finding other ways to exploit people, to exploit narcotics, drugs into our country.
Representatives Martha McSally and David Schweikert are working to keep the drugs and criminals out and Arizona families safe, fighting in Congress to fully fund President Donald Trump's wall to secure our border. Listen to Representative Martha McSally.
We've got to build a wall to actually secure the border.
Call Representatives Martha McSally and David Schweikert at 202-224-3121 and tell them to keep fighting to fully fund President Trump's wall. A strong border means safer Arizona families. Paid for by One Nation. www.onenationamerica.org.
The information and opinions you hear on this radio show are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of KFNX, its affiliates, management, or advertisers.
Live from the Midtown studios of KFNX, it's time for the Wellness Roundtable radio show, sponsored by Atrix.com. Now, here's your hosts, Dr. Spear and Dr. White.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wellness Roundtable radio show. Feels like we have not been on the radio for quite a while, Dr. Weiss. Isn't that right?
I agree. We have not been together live on air in a little bit.
Yeah, we had the July 4th break. Everyone was gone. Everybody probably forgot about our show. And now we're back. So I'm kind of pumped to be back today, and I'm pumped with our guest, Stu Burton, from New York City, who's going to be talking with us about training and nutrition through the seasons. But before we get to that, I just want to kind of state, every single time we get on, we talk about the weather, right? We're like two weathermen who were sort of complaining about the weather in our own regions. Mine really hot and yours for the most part really cold. But, it really does beg the question, how does one sort of train in that setting and in what type of environment is the proper nutrition appropriate, right? So, how do you eat in hot environments versus how do you eat in cold environments? What's really appropriate? What's recommended? And when I talk about training, I don't necessarily mean training for an event necessarily, but I mean training for life. So when you're exercising, what do you need to look out for in the heat? What do you need to look out for in the cold? What are the ways to progress through the seasons to make sure that as you do exercise throughout the year, you're doing it in a way that is is healthy and that's effective. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And so, I thought it was kind of apropos that we always start with the weather, and now we're actually going to be delving into a little bit more what that really means when it comes to wellness.
Dave, it's a great point. A lot of people, I think, they're just not sure, what I should be eating for what season, maybe what body type am I? And that brings up another huge point. Do certain body types need different nutrition? Does certain seasons dictate the nutrition? I'm sure Stu can chime in on this, and we can all really go and dive deep into this. But I think people really want to know, what do I need to do, and then what can I actually have as a meal?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So let's introduce our guest, Stu Burton, all the way from New York City. He is the owner of Iron and Silk Fitness on the east side of Manhattan, actually closer to the lower east side of Manhattan. He has over 4 decades of experience in the areas of fitness, nutrition, bodybuilding, and he's been on our show before to talk about some similar topics, but we've never really tackled kind of what is appropriate for what season. And so throughout the show, let's kind of give our listeners some information about what you do with your clients.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me on. Definitely a topic that I think is worth being tackled, because I think a lot of people struggle. And we can give a little insight as to, what we'd want to do. I guess the best way to jump off and start with it is, again, Scott mentioned body type. Body type is very important. We have what would be considered ectomorph, which would be tall and thin. We have endomorph, which would be a little bit shorter, a higher body fat percentage, and very easily to gain weight. And then we would have what would be the mesomorph, which would be kind of like in between, muscular, meaning body fat percentage definitely lower. You can see that this person looks like they work out, and then they tend to gain muscle relatively easy. And no one is any one of these, first of all. Everyone is a blend. Everyone is a blend. Even if you look at some of the very tall, you look at somebody that's tall and thin, but if you look at them and they're tall and thin and notice that they're soft, that person is also has some endomorph qualities that are there. Because there really isn't you don't see a lot of the actual muscle, jumping out at you, because that person is thin. You think that body fat percentage is low. But these things make a difference when you're talking about training, because we're going to use New York, for example. We have, like David said, more cold months than really hot months. So what we do at Iron and Silk at my gym is we have periods throughout the year that we actually prep for. Now, when I say that, I mean, most people say, well, I don't compete, I don't go on stage in bodybuilding or figure fitness. And it's not even really so much about that. But it is about, events that happen in pretty much everyone's life throughout the course of the year. So we have things like Christmas, or you have your birthday, and we have New Year, right? So what we do, and we've always done, is that we start to use what we would typically do in a, let's say, a bodybuilding competition in terms of like a prep time. And we're looking at anywhere between 8, 12 weeks, sometimes 16 weeks. Possibly even pushing it to about 20, depending on the shape that the person is in, the conditioning that they're in, and we start to get them ready for any one or all of these things that they're doing. So pretty much Christmas is a lot for kids, but New Year's, the grown-ups are out partying, and everybody's trying to get into like a nice dress, or you want to wear something very flattering. So we want to make sure that people understand that, okay, this is something that's coming up. It's an event period within our lives. How do we get ready for that? So in New York, what we would start to do is, for instance, for summertime, we start our prep pretty much in March. So my entire gym, in March, people are, they're cutting sugars to a minimum level, if any, in the diet. So simple sugars we start to eliminate. And then what we start to do is we start to very slowly get the body used to shifting to something that's going to be a little bit more productive in terms of working along with the heat. So we're always concerned with water all year round, even more so in the winter than even in the summer. because most people tend to be very dehydrated in the wintertime. But as we get towards those summer months, you know, we're focusing on a few things. We want a very productive off-season period, a period where, let's say, they're not going out to a lot of functions, or you're clothed or you're covered more often. We're looking then to build good quality muscle throughout the body, and I'm talking anywhere from my runway models to the bodybuilders that I would work with. It's always about putting on good quality muscles and building balance within the body. Also working on quite a bit of athleticism as well. But then as we start a prep, moving forward, and let's say we had someone that's going to be doing a 16-week cycle of training, we're going to come in, we're going to start to we're going to reduce those simple sugars in the diet, so things like soda or juices and things like that. Let's say they're not in the best of shape, those will go, and that just starts the prep. And we always see anywhere between like a 5 to, on a high end, 10-pound weight reduction. Just on that alone, if consistent training is being done and it is specific.
You know, that's so important. You know, you mentioned so many good things. I'm sure Dave would agree. You know, but just the idea of thinking about the season before. You know, that is like a huge thing. You can't just be like, hey, all right, it's 4 more days till summer. I want to throw my bikini on, or I want to have some pecs. It doesn't work like that, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's something we should tackle in the next segment, which is what is the sort of the mental gymnastics somebody has to go through in order to realize that this is what I have to do. You're talking 16 to 20 weeks. That's 4 to 5 months. That's a lot of prep. Like you have to psychologically get ready for that.
But to be honest, you know, it's actually not that difficult and extremely productive. But you have to be in the right setting in order to get the right information. That's the only thing. You know, it sounds sometimes like a little overwhelming, but it actually is not.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off.
So that's okay. No, let's pick that up. And I'm really kind of taken with the idea that the prep begins in March, and the way you said it, it's like everybody does it at the same time. You don't find that in gyms, like in a larger gym. It's not like you have hundreds of people who are doing the exact same thing in terms of their nutrition. So, you know, you're cutting sugars and everybody's in the same boat, which that support structure I think is really important for people. So let's pick that up in the next segment. Again, we're talking with Stu Burton, and we're talking about exercise and training for the season, and you know, talking about the importance of prep time. So we'll pick that up in the next segment. This is the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show, and we'll be right back.
Information on better health, fitness, and nutrition is everywhere, but much of it is about selling and not teaching. Jerry Brainham's Applied Metabolics newsletter is different. No ads, no advertisers, only pure, unvarnished truth. Jerry Brainham has written for bodybuilding magazines for over 35 years and published over 6,500 articles, and has been on the scene of fitness and nutrition for 56 years. His Applied Metabolics newsletter is an incredible source of practical, no-nonsense guidance, offering in-depth information about nutrition, food supplements, exercise science, ergogenic aids, anti-aging and longevity research, women's health issues, fat loss techniques, preventative medicine, and more. For only $10 a month, that's less than a cup of coffee per day. Subscribe to Jerry Brainham's informational and transformational newsletter and get information to guide you on the path toward health, longevity, and overall well-being. Visit AppliedMetabolics.com. That's AppliedMetabolics.com.
Come join Aging 2.0 for the annual Optimize Conference in San Francisco on November 14th and 15th. With 1,000 plus attendees each year, this is one of the largest conferences in the field of aging. It is an annual conference with cutting-edge content, networking, and partnership opportunities that make this a high-value event for anyone interested in innovation and aging. This year, it is taking place in the iconic Herbst Theater at the War Memorial Building in San Francisco. Optimize will feature captivating keynotes, exclusive networking opportunities, unique market insights, and a cutting-edge showcase of innovative exhibitors. Get registered today at www.aging2.com/optimize-2018.
Want to speak to an expert? Have a question involving your health and fitness? Visit wellnessroundtable.com and listen to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Hour right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
Are you tired of traveling or waiting to see a health professional? Now you don't have to. Video chat with an expert anytime, anywhere, and get your health questions answered. Visit wellnessroundtable.com and speak to experts from all over the country in the areas of health, wellness, and fitness. Wellnessroundtable.com offers an on-demand system that allows you to connect to an expert immediately. No scheduling, no appointments necessary. Wellnessroundtable.com. Visit our website and take advantage of our on-demand system, wellnessroundtable.com, where you get your questions answered. Wellnessroundtable.com.
We're back with the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show, and we're talking with Stu Burton, fitness trainer and fitness expert from New York City. We're discussing training and nutrition through the seasons. So, Scott, you had a point in regard to the prep that Stu was talking about, and I'd like to kind of embellish that. So,
yeah, what I was kind of thinking was, like Stu said, obviously so many crucial things, in his statement, but, one of the main pieces was, we can correlate, Dave, you and I, who have done so much research and have published research out there in the sports medicine and exercise field, that we know it takes, about 12 to 20 weeks. Most strength studies are done in about that time. So that really, is directly, or so to say, parallel to what Stu was saying, that it takes about that chunk of time to really make inroads in, I guess, not only diet, but also strength. So that's one good point that we know that research goes along with exactly what Stu's, saying from experience.
Yeah, I agree. And also, Stu, I think that, when you're working with a group of people who are following sort of the same regimen, there is that that notion of support that can be really powerful. Yeah, right? Yeah. Because most people, it takes anywhere between 21 and about 33 days to build a habit. But that's based on some data, but that's also building a habit by yourself. That's not having a support structure in place. So my question, I guess, is when you're working with people in your gym, are you telling them, hey, starting Monday, you're going to be decreasing your sugar? How do you prep them mentally to kind of get into that? And then do you also tell them that they're doing it, and everybody else in the gym is doing the same thing, so don't feel like you're kind of by yourself?
Mm-hmm. Well, again, my setup is very different. It's a lot more, where the place is. I mean, it's a beautiful training facility, but it has definitely got that hardcore throwback mentality, where I started off at Sheridan Square. And back then, in those days, competition time started. The majority of guys back then were competing. Everybody's training for a competition. So the energy itself changes. What we do here, and obviously we don't have the same kind of, let's say, people that are, want to get up on stage and be very large, competitive physique athletes. But you can learn from all of that. I mean, this is where all of it stems from. It's coming from stuff like that. So what we do is, we really start prepping them in January and February, because it starts first with, hey, summertime is coming. March is going to be the beginning of the prep, and we will sometimes send that out in personal emails. We'll tell people as they walk in, as they're going through their workout. Yep. So people start to understand in January and February, come March, March is when we're going to start to really, change things around. Now, a good prep or a good, what we call pre-contest, regimen starts with a very good off-season. So, like I was saying before, you want to have some good training behind you. If you have injuries, You want to try and heal up as quickly as possible.
Sure.
Understand at what pace you need to move forward, and everybody moves at their own individual pace. But with the fact that they know that, hey, summer's coming, and I want to be this much better than I was last year. These are the goals that I want, and this is how we're going to go about doing it. One thing I would like to say, which is really important, preps can last anywhere from like 6 weeks. So again, at max pace to about 20, especially for people that are not on an advanced level of competitive training, because the body is going to endure. It's going to go under a lot of pressure. You're going to be training hard. What we like to do though is we like to save. I really like to do a lot of my harder workouts with our clients in the off season, so that come contest time, it's just touch-up work, or summertime, so that they get actually the opportunity to spend a little bit more time outside of the gym. The work that they're doing inside of the gym is just touch-up work. That doesn't mean that it's easy, but it's not like trying to go in and doing, very heavy deadlifts. At that time, they've been doing heavy deadlifts for months.
Right.
Right.
Got it.
When they get into the gym now, we're focusing more on, more hyper extensions or reverse hypers. You're focusing on ab work. Just the little stuff to just tie everything, and then really focusing on changing the diet and having everything, follow through. So I'm not a fan of the hard, super crazy, heavy lifting as you're trying to manipulate calories. I think it's I don't think it's very productive. Those are the times. Yeah. Those are the times when I'm going to use, you're going to go to more quality training. You're going to use a lot of peak contractions. In the off season, I might use it maybe on one movement, maybe two. But contest time, it would be on almost all of the movements.
That's great. So we're talking with Stu Burton, fitness expert from New York City. If you want to join in on the call, give us a call at 602-277-5369 or 1-866-536-1100. So, Scott, it sounds like there's a full progression to this, right? But here's my question. What happens after 20 weeks? So, I know that from experience training for an event, whether it be a marathon or, any type of event, you train, and then you hit this pinnacle, and then you basically do the event, and then you fall off, right? Mm-hmm. So often, what happens to attendance after the 20 weeks? What happens? Do people tend to fall off? Is there attrition?
Do you mind if I jump in also?
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
The one thing that I really want to get across, and Stu, I'm sure you say this to people that you work with, you cannot be in perfect shape all year round.
Right.
Period. Meaning, unless you're really grinding and going to, competitions and shows and competing, or sports performance, and, you have many games and tournaments, you can't stay perfect all year round.
Absolutely.
It really runs down the body and the mind.
Absolutely.
And it's like, we call it in sports medicine, overreaching is overtraining's like younger brother, or like distant cousin, whatever you want to call it. So you got to really be careful throughout the year, and that becomes, the whole idea of periodizing your training, knowing what you want to focus on, knowing what's important to you, your sport, your performance, whatever you're doing, your goal to lose weight, my sister's wedding, whatever it is. And when you have the goal, you have to truly work around it. That's where I think we both, really try to impress upon our clients to focus on that and realize you're not going to be perfect all year round. The models that you and I work with, they do a shoot, and then they go have lunch.
Right.
And then they do something, and then they go nuts. And people have to realize that's what people really do, especially the celebrities and pros.
Oh, absolutely. I think people think that the people that are in great shape are in great shape all the time. I mean, we want to make sure, for instance, I have quite a few actors that are quite famous with work that they do. And so what we do is we make sure that they go to a certain amount of body weight over their acting weight. So we're not going to, so they won't gain 20 pounds, but they might gain 10 pounds. And this is really good because when you relax a little bit, it allows you to actually focus a lot when it's time to get back in. The thing is, you don't want to go too far out of your comfort zone because then it makes it too hard to get back in shape. And those are the things that people... Yeah, correct.
So basically what Stu was saying, Dave, is like you don't want to go too far from the midline. The further you go from the midline, the harder it's going to be to get back.
Right.
And
it becomes more difficult.
And that's, I think, something we need to talk about, which is what kind of methods do you use to get people motivated again? Because I think that's a tough thing to start your engines again, especially after you've hit a pinnacle. And then you kind of fall off. So let's.
I'd love to jump on that. Do we have time right now, real quick?
Well, we got about a minute and a half or so. So let's get it. Let's pick that up in the next session. And I want to talk about also some specific exercises that you do in your progression to prep.
And Dave, the word is before we cut to break, it's not fall off. I don't really think it's falling off. It's just going up and down a little bit closer to the midline. That's a negative term, fall off. That feels like, I did something wrong. I think people should realize, hey, I'm just swaying, but I'm going to sway back.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Right.
All right, we're going to be going to break. Give us a call at 602-277-5369 or 1-866-536-1100. We're talking with Stu Burton, fitness expert, about training and nutrition through the season. This is the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show. We'll see you right after these messages.
Independent Talk 1100 KFNX is celebrating our 20-year anniversary this month. We would like to thank the listeners for all your support through the years. It would not have happened without you. Telling it like it is. Independent Talk 1100 KFNX. Common sense. Independent Talk 1100 KFNX.
President Trump came out strong in his first public comments at the outset of NATO's annual summit.
You got the sense today that President Trump here in Brussels was talking to a domestic audience back home in the U.S., trying to take a tough American first stance, if you will.
Correspondent Jeff Zeleny says Trump accused U.S. ally Germany of being a captive of Russia over a pipeline project and called members of the alliance delinquent in their defense spending, insisting they increase it immediately. The founder of Papa John's Pizza, John Schnatter, apologized today for using the N-word on a conference call in May. Forbes reported he used the racial slur while taking part in a role-playing exercise designed to prevent public relations crises. A Nevada judge halted the use of a drug in the execution of a twice-convicted killer just hours before he was scheduled to die by a first-of-its-kind lethal injection mixture. I'm Barbara Cusack.
It's time for your 1100 KFNX traffic report, brought to you by Summit Mail Medical. In Tempe, be on the lookout for an accident at the Loop 101 southbound approaching Broadway Road. And in Chandler, we have an accident at the Loop 202 eastbound at Dobson Road. They can't fix the traffic, but they can help with your erectile dysfunction or low testosterone issues. They will make your love life go zoom zoom. SummitMailMedical.com.
From the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center, as we head into the evening under partly cloudy skies, isolated thunderstorms, the overnight low 78. Thursday, partly cloudy with scattered thunderstorms, high near 94. Partly cloudy Thursday night, isolated thunderstorms, and the overnight low 79. I'm Scott Allen Fortney from the KFNX WeatherBug Weather Center.
Currently, in downtown Phoenix, it's 96 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it breaks. Here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today with fashion, function, and quality at the forefront. Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
Come join Aging 2.0 for the annual Optimize Conference in San Francisco on November 14th and 15th. With 1,000-plus attendees each year, this is one of the largest conferences in the field of aging. It is an annual conference with cutting-edge content, networking, and partnership opportunities that make this a high-value event for anyone interested in innovation and aging. This year, it is taking place in the iconic Herbst Theater at the War Memorial Building in San Francisco. Optimize will feature captivating keynotes, exclusive networking opportunities, unique market insights, and a cutting-edge showcase of innovative exhibitors. Get registered today at www.aging2.com/optimize-2018.
Want to speak to an expert? Have a question involving your health and fitness? Visit wellnessroundtable.com and listen to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Hour right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Are you tired of traveling or waiting to see a health professional? Now you don't have to. Video chat with an expert anytime, anywhere, and get your health questions answered. Visit wellnessroundtable.com and speak to experts from all over the country in the areas of health, wellness, and fitness. Wellnessroundtable.com offers an on-demand system that allows you to connect to an expert immediately. No scheduling, no appointments necessary. Wellnessroundtable.com. Visit our website and take advantage of our on-demand system, wellnessroundtable.com, where you get your questions answered. Wellnessroundtable.com.
And we're back with the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show. We're talking with Stu Burton, fitness expert, and we're talking about training and nutrition through the seasons. Give us a call at 602-277-5369 or 1-866-536-1100. If you have any questions about your training, about your nutrition, Stu is the man to talk to. So, Stu, we were just kind of talking about, as we went to break, Scott was saying that, I was using the word falling off. After reaching a pinnacle of training and nutrition and you have your event, you just kind of blah. Like, there's a word for it, especially like the post-marathon blues or whatever you want to call it. Right. So the question is really, how do you then motivate somebody and also to understand that both of you are correct in the sense that it is cyclical and that you're moving from the midline, right? So you have your normal routine and you're increasing your routine, and then, you decrease your routine a little bit. You give your body a little bit of a rest. But if you move too far away from the normal, it's much harder to get back. Right. So totally understand and appreciate, but what do you use as methods to get people back?
I think the most important thing is first of all, is conversation. The groundwork is started and is laid with explaining, okay, we're going to train for 6 weeks with the objective of creating or achieving this. But you also want people to understand. I mean, what I think allows us to thrive is the foresight that's given to the individual. You absolutely have to give foresight. I see it in the industry all the time, and I'm kind of shocked that people are just training them, and you train indefinitely with no land. You're like on sea, and nothing is going to happen. People have to know that we're going to train for a certain amount of time. These are the goals that we're going to be shooting for weekly. This is the objective at the end. And at this point in time, we're going to switch into this phase. And these are things that need to be done. To be very honest, if the diet and the training is done properly, there is no drop-off, because by the end of that cycle, you've reached your goal. You're on a freaking high. You're flying. You're looking for more. So I honestly, I never experienced that. I would train for 6-week cycles. I would take 5 days off. I would start up my regimen again, give my body a week to a week and a half to pick back up momentum, regardless of how strong I felt. After a week and a half to 2 weeks, I start to increase my loads. I increase my repetitions, and I would go into another phase of training for another 6 weeks. If the body looked like it can endure another 2, I'd tack another 2 weeks on. But typically would never go over 8 weeks myself personally. I've seen people and I've worked with people that had to do more, and I've worked with people sometimes that had to do less. It depends on what you bring to the table as an individual. But the fall off shouldn't take place. That should be understood, and psychologically, that's the edge.
Yeah, and also, Stu, he brings up a really good point, Scott, which is when you are supervised and you're trained by somebody like Stu, who has that knowledge base and understands sort of where your body is at different phases, the overtraining and the injuries are minimized. So from a PT standpoint, what do you see in terms of overtraining, and when do you see it, and who do you see it in? You know, like what type of individual really is susceptible to overtraining, if there is a type of individual?
So, you know, there's a lot of research on that, believe it or not, Dave, and it breaks down into team sports and solo sports. Usually a lot of the solo sport practitioners have a tendency of overtraining. They're really listening to themselves. They go to bed pulling the covers up to their neck, staring at the ceiling by themselves. You know, they're up on the you know, the rings on their own. They're skating around a ring on their own, but you know, whatever it is. So that's a very different mindset, so to say, than the team sport. So usually we see more individual solo sport athletes overtraining because, you know, the best athletes in the world, no matter what, have coaches and trainers. So you need people like Stu and I watching over what they're doing and making sure they're not doing the same thing over and over. Cross-training is very important. And if you're overseeing the right athlete who's open to the right input and you have the right knowledge base, you have no problem. It's not an issue. You know, so it's easy when you have the right person, you know, even the right celebrity involved. You know, they're like, all right, what do I need to do? I got 17 weeks. Let's do it. You know, and that's fun. Right. It's fun.
Yeah, he's saying that the key point is also making sure that people are open. You know, and I think, you know, discussing what it is your plan is going to be is essential, because when they understand that, you go into a different level of energy, mental and physical energy, because you understand. But if somebody's just telling you to do something, it might be actually the thing that they need to do, but because it's never been explained to them, they haven't been able to really digest it intellectually. It doesn't pan out. And most athletes, you know, I would say, are extremely smart, you know, and have been doing training for a while, have had some organized supervision, and have developed their own types of patterns and things that work for them. So, you know, this becomes very, very important. I want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. If I understand that, it makes me do it with more vigor. And when I have to back off, I understand why to back off as well.
Yep.
Right.
And so athletes are real people, and real people want to know why they do it. That's the whole point, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's like you can be an athlete or a regular person. You're one and the same human. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also,
there's no difference.
It gives purpose, right? It gives purpose to what you're doing if you kind of know why you're doing it. You're not just doing. You're not just following blindly. The other question,
the central nervous system can't endure a tremendous amount of intense work. It's just not possible. You know, so we have to be able to explain that to people.
Right, and give them the rest and recovery that they need. So, speaking of that, you had mentioned periodization before, and although, you know, we've studied it, let's tell the listeners what periodization is. What are the phases of it, and how does it, in a 16-week prep or a 20-week prep, are there various phases within that 16 weeks, or is that just one phase of the periodization over the course of a year? How do you look at that?
Well, we can do a few things. We could change it. It can manipulate. Again, everything is bendable. Everything is bendable. We're looking at a frame of time, and then within that frame of time, we're looking to see, okay, you know, this person, the first month, we just reduced sugars. We really didn't change anything to train. The second month comes around, and they start to fall very quick. And you say to yourself, well, wow, what happened? You know, why is this person not, you know, able to perform? You have to be able to go in, see what's happening, and then go and look and check other aspects in their life. Is the sleep there? Does the nutrition need to be altered? Does the training need to be altered? The periodization is basically understanding that for a certain amount of time, for a period, you're going to be working, hopefully or successfully, like this. Whether or not that really happens is up to the individual and their program, because we're organic, we're unique, we're different you every single day. You have to be able to say, hey, you know what? Today is not the day to go in and try and do that, you know, those sprints. You know, today let's just do it. Let's do a walk instead, because the body really needs the walk more than it will need the sprint. The consistency wins out over the intensity. What I would like to say also, which is very important, is that the big thing on high intensity cardio training, You need to blend two types of cardio. I've never seen one type of cardio work. Never. You want to have high intensity training, and guess what, people? You also need some long, steady state cardio. Now, what is long, steady state? Somebody might say it's an hour. Somebody might say 45 minutes. Somebody might say 30 minutes. Somebody might say 20 minutes. Again, that depends on the individual, what kind of shape that they're in. But if you are coming in every day thinking week in, week out, 3-4 days a week that you're going to do max sprints and you're going to burn out. It's hard to do that.
Right. It's interesting you say that, because the guys who have done the data collection on HIIT training basically say exactly that. They, in their papers, they state, even though this causes a benefit, a cardiovascular benefit, a muscular benefit, I mean, obviously it's been adopted by everybody and their grandmother to do it. They say that it is very difficult to implement, because if you're going to do it right, it takes a tremendous amount of work to do it correctly, even if you're doing 20-second intervals.
Right. Dave, you know what's cool, though, what we're saying is, but that encompasses total cardiovascular, or I should say cardiorespiratory training, because if, the heart gets adapted through either, in series or in parallel, meaning the muscle fibers get laid down differently when you overload the heart. It's a volume stress or a pressure demand where you're doing it fast. So if you do both, you adapt the heart perfectly for everything you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point. So let's continue on that and talk a little bit about nutrition when we come back. And I also wanted to state that we do have an expert on wellnessroundtable.com. Please attend his lecture this Saturday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 12 o'clock Pacific Time, on manifestation of nervous system fatigue. Learn how the body maintains a consistent internal environment. We will be right back with the Wellness Roundtable radio show. We're chatting with Stu Burton, fitness expert from New York City, about training and nutrition through the season.
Want to speak to an expert? Have a question involving your health and fitness? Visit wellnessroundtable.com and listen to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Hour right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Information on better health, fitness, and nutrition is everywhere, but much of it is about selling and not teaching. Jerry Brainham's Applied Metabolics newsletter is different. No ads, no advertisers, only pure, unvarnished truth. Jerry Brainham has written for bodybuilding magazines for over 35 years and published over 6,500 articles, and has been on the scene of fitness and nutrition for 56 years. His Applied Metabolics newsletter is an incredible source of practical, no-nonsense guidance, offering in-depth information about nutrition, food supplements, exercise science, ergogenic aids, anti-aging and longevity research, women's health issues, fat loss techniques, preventative medicine, and more. For only $10 a month, that's less than a cup of coffee per day. Subscribe to Jerry Brainham's informational and transformational newsletter and get information to guide you on the path toward health, longevity, and overall well-being. Visit AppliedMetabolics.com. That's AppliedMetabolics.com.
Come join Aging 2.0 for the annual Optimize Conference in San Francisco on November 14th and 15th. With 1,000 plus attendees each year, this is one of the largest conferences in the field of aging. It is an annual conference with cutting-edge content, networking, and partnership opportunities that make this a high-value event for anyone interested in innovation and aging. This year, it is taking place in the iconic Herbst Theater at the War Memorial Building in San Francisco. Optimize will feature captivating keynotes, exclusive networking opportunities, unique market insights, and a cutting-edge showcase of innovative exhibitors. Get registered today at www.aging2.com/optimize-2018.
Are you tired of traveling or waiting to see a health professional? Now you don't have to. Video chat with an expert anytime, anywhere, and get your health questions answered. Visit wellnessroundtable.com and speak to experts from all over the country in the areas of health, wellness, and fitness. Wellnessroundtable.com offers an on-demand system that allows you to connect to an expert immediately. No scheduling, no appointments necessary. Wellnessroundtable.com. Visit our website and take advantage of our on-demand system, wellnessroundtable.com, where you get your questions answered. wellnessroundtable.com.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
And we're back with the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show. We're having a lively discussion with Stu Burton, fitness expert from New York City and owner of Stu Burton's Iron and Silk Fitness. And we're talking about training and nutrition through the season. And while we were off the air, we were discussing kind of the need for our society to kind of clamp onto trends. And one trend in particular now is high-intensity interval training. And as Stu was mentioning, we need to do that kind of training, but we also need to do kind of long, slow distance training. And as Dr. Weiss pointed out, those two different kinds of training really build balance, especially in the cardiac muscle, and also in terms of our circulation. So really, Scott, what we were saying is that, the foundation and the basics are not sexy. So people don't tend to, they're not appealing. They don't tend to follow those things.
Right. Yeah, everybody wants to follow the shiny new pearl, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That comes out. And I think that, for some people that might work, but they have to realize it's a balance of that and something else, But we did say, the basics don't have any frills to it. It's not exciting. But that is consistency. If you do the basics long enough, you will build the foundation to pretty much get where you want if you have the right goals, as Stu was saying earlier.
And so, and you just mentioned the right word, which is foundation. So, when a house goes up, the foundation is quite ugly, isn't it? It's a bunch of concrete in various shapes. It's ugly. But then as you see the house being built, it becomes beautiful. And that, I think, is, that analogy is exactly how people kind of train and do their nutrition. It's like, I need to go on this diet, or I need to go on that diet, or I need to do this, I need to do that. But there's really no foundation there. So without the foundation, there's no stability.
Right. And that foundation comes through education. Being better educated as to what you really want to do. Not just biking every single day, not just weightlifting every single day. You like Scott said, you have to cross-train. You absolutely have to do it. Even athletes that are presenting just their physiques, or athletes that are doing, triathlons. The body is so dynamic. It's so amazing. All of these aspects that are available to us need to be focused on. You on some level. And then you phase back. You back off on some and focus a little bit more on others as you get closer to what it is that you need. If you're an athlete, if you're not an athlete, you're looking for the best ability to be as round as possible. And this is really and truly the only way to do it.
I agree. So listen, we're we have a couple more minutes left, and if you want to give us a call and join in on the conversation, call us at 1-866-536-1100. Or if you're local, 602-277-5369. And so
we have an email from a person. Actually, it looks like Arizona.
Okay.
And the question, I guess, it's specifically nutrition towards Stu. How do I gain weight? Should I use shakes or not? Pretty simple.
I would say absolutely use a shake. Shakes can be beneficial. Just make sure it's something. If you're lactose intolerant, make sure it's something that your body can tolerate. What I would do and what I've done in the past that's extremely successful is I don't go for like a full shake. If it says to make a 2-scoop 16-ounce shake, your best bet would actually be to cut it in half, make it small, and then actually add it to a meal. Smaller feedings work a lot better. It doesn't overstretch your system.
Nice. Veronica, you heard it from Stu, the expert.
I like that idea. So if you're blending it in a big blender, don't use the whole thing, just use half of it.
Yeah, a little bit, Yeah, throughout the day.
Okay, is there a particular time when it's mostly optimal to do that? Would it be a breakfast, or would it be a dinner, or does it matter?
Well, we see, again, it's unique to the individual, but the best times when the body tends to be the most open is the first thing in the morning, either right before training, right after training, and then before you go to bed, if need be. But basically, first thing in the morning, you've slept, something that can get into the system, help to fortify the body, and add something to a solid meal that you're going to be taking in, and either before or prior. Larry Scott used to drink milk, during his training. He would sip on milk, and this is something I would sip on my protein drinks when I was a little kid and my dad was training me. I mean, these things work, so there's a lot that can be done, and those would be probably the key times.
Stu, what do you think about the sumo that want to gain weight and then just eat and go to bed? What would you say to people like that just do that, a big meal and then go to bed?
There's other people besides sumo that do that.
I don't know, man. I don't know about the eat and go to sleep. You know what I mean? I used to do it too, and it didn't affect me. But I know most people, if a meal is too big, they can't rest well. And then there is something too about some people taking carbohydrates that do help. It depends on what you're taking throughout the day, and maybe a few days prior, because a carb meal can actually allow you to relax. Instead of you gaining a little bit of energy from it. So again, you have to be aware. You have to pay attention to what it is you're putting in your body, and then making really good choices. But it's something possibly that can work. It could work.
We have a caller on the line. All right, we got a couple of minutes. Who is this? Oscar. Oscar?
Yes.
Hey, welcome to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show. We have a couple of minutes. What's your question?
It's a two-part question. I'm going to try not to take too much time. I trained before, semi-professionally, and as well as being a trainer. And in terms of periodization, I've always wondered if, because of this periodization, this micro-periodization, where you actually are periodizing within that period. So let's say, for example, I'm going from a strength aspect to an explosive or an elastic equivalent strength training kind of training, like, Olympic lifting, while you're also doing maybe a strength training regimen. How often can that be done? And is that something that could be done every week? Or would it have to be something that would be implemented maybe once every other week or once a month? How can we implement that, like if we're dealing with an athlete in that sense?
Great question.
Is that for me?
Yes.
Okay. What I would do is you'd have to do this, because you don't know exactly, maybe because it sounds like you're trying to figure out what's going to work, right? Well, there are different ways to skin a cat. There's more than one way. I'm fully and have done, moving from a very heavy basic training regimen to something that's a little bit more endurance-based, and then switching over again. That is very doable. But I've grown to really like combining the two, and maybe even a third as I'm going into a prep period. So something that would encompass a little bit of power and then finishing with a little bit of endurance, because a lot of times if you just focus on, let's say, strength and power in the beginning for a month, let's say, or 6 weeks, and then you switch over to endurance, you lose some of that strength a lot of times.
Exactly.
It's very hard to maintain, some of that strength. And I've done this for years. I mean, I don't want to let everybody know how old I am, but I mean, I've used that system for many years, and I've used other systems too. What I've found the best, just because, again, how amazing the human body is, it's about combining the best combinations within the workout for that individual and moving forward. Right. You can then come back and switch it and see if the other approach works better. But I like to blend it.
It's like you're doing a controlled experiment. Thank you so much for the question, Oscar. We really appreciate it. So we are winding down. This was a really lively conversation about training and nutrition through the seasons, but also we talked about periodization, and we talked about the fact that don't get wrapped up in just one thing. There needs to be cross-training. There needs to be different kinds of training and different kinds of nutrition, not only for different parts of the year, but also based on different people, right? We started with body type when we were, starting the discussion. So this was fantastic, and we're going to pick this up again in another show. We will definitely have Stu on again as a guest. Stu, I want to thank you so much for being part of the show today.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we'll have you on again. And I did want to mention again on wellnessroundtable.com this Saturday, 12 o'clock p.m. Pacific and Mountain Standard Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Kyle McMinn, who is a 2-decade strength and conditioning coach and the head coach of Fairleigh Dickinson University, or the former head coach of Fairleigh Dickinson University, is going to do a lecture on manifestation of nervous system fatigue, learn how the human body maintains a consistent internal environment, and what is our response of the body to stress.
Stu, I'll reach out.
Thanks again for listening. And I just wanted to say on behalf of Dr. Scott Weiss and our guest, Stu Burton, this is the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show. We're here with you every Wednesday from 3 to 4 on 1100 Independent Talk, KFNX. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show right here on Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX. Tune in next week for more from the experts on the Wellness Roundtable Radio Show.
The information and opinions you hear on this radio show are those of the host, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of KFNX, its affiliates, management, or advertisers.
Atrix is one of the fastest growing companies in the footwear industry and is widely recognized as a global leader in comfort and wellness footwear products. The Atrix mission is to create the healthiest shoe on the market today. With fashion, function, and quality at the forefront, Atrix designs and manufactures most types of footwear for both men and women. All styles are crafted with care to meet the highest standards in design, incorporate cutting-edge technologies, and offer unmatched customization and adjustability. To learn how Atrix can help you with your feet, go to AETREX.com. That's Atrix.com.
Hi, the Charlie Gracie Radio Show is broadcasting live on Mondays at 11 a.m. from Phoenix, Arizona on 1100 a.m. KFNX Independent Talk. And we're streaming live online at the same time. Our show provides you with information from all types of businesses that will be calling in, along with professionals in a variety of different backgrounds. Tune in and join us on Mondays at 11 a.m.
You're listening to Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX, Cave Creek, Phoenix, a division of Premier Radio Stations, the home of Laura Ingraham, weekdays 6